What a night this was.
Yes.
You touched on it in the intro, but man, it felt awesome to all be doing the same thing at the same time as everybody. It was great. I didn't see a single tweet out there that said, "Oh, is the sports ball movie on?" I didn't see anybody being negative about it. It was just cool to experience something, even though there were commercials. It was cool to experience something again at the same time as everybody else. I missed you guys.
Well, I agree with you. Yeah, it was incredible. It's incredible first 2 episodes of the documentary, but it was also nice to like get back together, and it felt like watching a big game. Felt like watching Sunday Night Football. The commercials thing did fuck me up. It was so weird when the first commercial came on. I was like, "What the fuck is going on with my TV right now?" Like the most I'm used to is that 3 seconds that Netflix gives you to watch the next episode of The Office, and here I am having to watch like 3 minutes of non-content, like content I don't want to watch. That hasn't even like come into my brain for the last 35 days. It's the one good thing about quarantine is commercials are just completely obsolete, and here we are like suckers watching commercials. I hope that ESPN is getting like Super Bowl level money for the commercials, because holy shit, we're captivated. We can't go anywhere, and we're frozen out of fear. Like when the commercial came on, I thought my my TV broke.
Well, it's from the Facebook company now. They changed their name. It's like the Ohio State University. It's no longer just Facebook. You have to put that at the start of it. And now they're trying to get us to put the robots inside our house after every fuck up that they've had over the last 6 years. That's probably what irritated me the most about the commercials, was just that it was like Facebook being like, "Hey, can we put a spy in your house? That's cool, right?
Right.
You guys don't have a problem with that. You got nothing else going on."
Right.
But it was so good, and it was so fun to watch alongside everybody else that I didn't even mind. Like, I needed a little bit of a break to take a breath, because the stories are that compelling. And if you were born in the mid-90s, if you were born in the 2000s, you don't remember these teams. This must be even better for you, getting to watch all this shit for the first time. But like going behind the scenes and seeing all the drama that was going on, let me just say, Jerry Krause, congratulations, Carol Baskin, because you are off the hot seat as the most hated person in America. Jerry Krause, sometimes in life, and listen, as a fellow short guy, I think I'm definitely taller than Jerry Krause, but as a fellow short guy, you have to know your place sometimes. And sometimes your place is to just shut the fuck up. And just don't do anything. Don't fuck up a good thing, Jerry. Shut the fuck up. Quit being an idiot. You look like a moron. You got a stupid face. You're not going to improve anything. I was so mad at him.
Here's the thing, though. Jerry Krause deserves to be hated for the way that the Bulls dynasty ended, but he also deserves credit for putting together, being a big part of putting together the Bulls dynasty. And the best Jerry Krause quote out there that I've ever seen, I think it was a David Halberstam quote, when he said Krause deserved more credit than he got, but wanted more credit than he deserved. So he's constantly stuck in that spot where he is like, I should be getting more credit. And he probably, in a weird way, should, but he wanted so much credit that it then became a detriment and a galvanizing force for those Bulls teams to be like, fuck you, dude. And you saw it when MJ shit-talking him at the ring night. You saw it Scottie Pippen being like, fuck this, I can't handle anymore. Like, he was a figure that, like, and they didn't really they kind of touched on it, but like he was openly flirting with Tim Floyd, like openly flirting with Tim Floyd. They kind of mentioned that, it's like, oh yeah, Jerry kind of tried to trade Scottie Pippen. He tried to trade Scottie Pippen 11 days after Scottie Pippen had the game-winning steal against the Jazz to win the 5th title. 11 days. And he had already tried to trade him a few times before that. So yes, Jerry Krause is going to be the villain of this. And part of me, like in a weird way, feels a little bad because he's the only one who's passed away and can't speak up for himself.
He's not here to defend himself.
But even still, he does deserve a lot of this criticism, because it really was Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen versus Jerry Krause. And I jokingly said it before the first episode, but Jerry Reinsdorf firing Gar Pax before this came out was genius, because he took Jerry Krause's side. And he went against, like, could you imagine in today's NBA, the best player in the world? So LeBron James right now being like, oh, I want my coach to stay. And the front office being like, like,
we're
it's
a team.
It's
this
insane.
Is an organization. Yeah, it is. I think people have started to realize that maybe having a transcendental player is a little more beneficial to your team than having like a decent coach that your owner gets along with. And just watching Jerry, the powerful energy of Maury from Maury's Wigs that he gives off is just incredible. And you keep wondering when Scottie Pippen's going to put that ice pick through the back of his neck, because Scottie was so mad at him the whole time. And I don't blame Scottie Pippen. He was 122nd highest player in the NBA in what, 1997, 1998? That's insane.
Sixth highest player on the Bulls, and that's also a classic Reinsdorf thing to be like, well, I told him at the time to not sign that contract, and Scottie's story is a great one because it's like, he came from a large family, he wanted to help his family, and to not renegotiate, like that's kind of what the MO of the front office. I also love the peak of John Paxson saying, like, oh yeah, Jerry Krause tried to storm into the locker room after we won, and they played MJ more minutes than he should have because of his hurt foot, and he was like, yeah, it was a bad scene, and I wanted to be like, did you just say like the front office and the team having big time rift was a bad scene, like foreshadowing much, or have a little self-awareness here of like what's going on?
Well, I think that's why he kind of swallowed that line. He could have expanded on that a little bit, but he knew in the back of his own brain, he's like, you're getting into very dangerous territory here.
He also,
let that one breathe for a little bit.
He also knew that he choked Vinny Del Negro, so like that actually happened as well. When Vinny was the coach.
It was actually fascinating seeing how it went all the way back to that Celtics series where Jordan kind of willed the team's way. By the way, they went like 30-50 or something like that and got the 8 seed. Willed their way into the playoffs. They play the Celtics. You get to see a little glimpse of the game changing, because I think a lot of times we talk about, oh, this player changed the game, and you don't really know what that looks like. But you can see what it looks like when you see Rick Carlisle playing out there and then Michael Jordan playing. And you're like, okay, this was a person who took a game that was at this level before. And then, the Celtics were really good.
That was like one of the best teams of all time.
Yes, they're really good. But you could see like that's when the game changed into like a much more athletic version of the NBA.
Well, I'd actually disagree. I'd say that's not when the game changed, just because Michael Jordan was that much better than everyone. Because there was no one else like him. Like no one else came along right after him or during his era who was like that. And him and like
Magic Johnson.
Yeah, but Magic was already there. But the quote, the Larry Bird quote, that was God disguised as Michael Jordan, is like an all-time quote, and that was that like little montage. To have Magic and Larry Bird while still like playing him, basically being like, yeah, he's the best player in the world. Like that's crazy.
We also got a couple great quotes out of this. We got Scottie Pippen saying, "I'm not going to fuck my summer up." That's great. That quote's going to live on.
He was the pre-Shaq when Shaq did it, when he said, I got hurt on company time. I'm going to heal on company time. Which is a baller move that he did with the Lakers, where he's like, I'm just going to get in shape and fix all my body ailments when the season starts. I mean, Scottie had every right to do that.
This is the summer of Scottie. He was like, I'm going to go to Cabo, I'm going to take my shirt off, and I'm going to meet some ladies, and there's no chance that I'm just going to spend that time rehabbing. And then there was also a great quote later on when Common's story was ridiculous. I think he was lying about that, by the way. Did you see Common's story where he's like,
well, didn't even make the documentary. He got commercial. Like, that sucks.
How much do you think that autograph would go for? The autograph of Common signing Michael Jordan's name incorrectly.
Yeah, it's a good question. A lot of money.
Probably a lot these days.
Yeah,
the traveling cocaine circus was good too.
Yeah, Michael Jordan basically being a narc and being like, no, thank you. Like, gambling, yes. Drinking, yes. Cocaine, absolutely fucking not.
Well, I mean,
he didn't drink. He didn't even drink back then either.
Yeah, it's true, but he does drink now. Michael Jordan's mom, looking 30 years younger than Michael Jordan's, like, okay, that was like that's crazy, and that's probably maybe a little plastic surgery, but it was like, holy shit, like she's
a fox.
She looks like she's 40.
This might just be the quarantine talking, but Michael Jordan's mom got on TV. I was like, fellas,
I need what I need. Like, it was a great first 2 episodes. I fucking need more practice footage of MJ just ripping into everyone. And poor Ron Harper, just like this is the fucking butt of every single criticism that MJ has to throw out there. But like that's the whole documentary starts and he's like, I wanted it more. And like the story, the other one was Roy Williams. Like, Roy Williams could talk. It could just be 10 hours of Roy Williams talking when he says frickin', and it's like more powerful than any swear word ever. But him saying that, like, when the story of MJ basically being a lightly recruited guy comes to the camp, 5 days later, they're like, yeah, he's the best player in the country. It's like, holy shit.
Him being like, this dadgum youngster. Mm-hmm. That gets me going. Just when Roy Williams says that about you, you're a great player.
Roy Williams also had the quote, Michael Jordan is the only player that could turn it on and off, and he never freaking turned it off. So I think that means he didn't have an on and off switch because he never turned it off.
Either he knew that there was an off switch, but it was just never hit.
He just acknowledged that it was there.
Yeah, it's like the meme of the guy sweating with the two buttons in front of him. One button says turn it on, and the other button says don't turn it off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it was I mean the whole first 2 episodes. I think the third episode might be Rodman, but this was like Scottie Pippen. I mean, that's the other thing. Like people, and you know what was cool is also seeing people, because like we're both 35, so we remember it, but not like the first, the 80s stuff. Obviously, we don't remember it all. But like our guy RJ Hampton, who plays for the Breakers, who was born probably in I don't know 2002. When he like tweeted, he's like, oh my god, and they were all twos, talking about his 63-point performance against the Celtics. Like seeing that, it's like, okay, this is actually going to have the effect that they knew it was. Like people who never saw Michael Jordan play are going to be like, holy shit. That was
insane. That was actually a crazy stat line too. So that stat line was 63 and then 5 and 6.
Yep.
Which is wild because now there's so many triple doubles and they didn't have as many back then. And then the game before that, I think he had 55 and then 4 rebounds.
Yeah, he had 49. I think the game before that. And the other thing is like the rest of the team had basically nothing. I think Charles Oakley had like 13 or 14 rebounds, and it was like there was no one else who was doing anything on that team. I think it was like Charles Oakley had like a few rebounds or 13 rebounds, and Orlando Woolridge had like 20 points or something, but everything else was MJ. It was like everyone else had 2 points.
The best way I can describe MJ is he was so good that if you rooted for him, let's say if you're outside of New York City, Boston, or LA, growing up anywhere in the United States back in like the mid 90s, and you just decided to become a Bulls fan because of MJ, nobody would make fun of you or call you a front runner. They would be like, yeah, that makes sense that you're going to root for Jordan and the Bulls.
The Paris clips were incredible. Like seeing people in Paris just going fucking bananas for, basically a scrimmage, and MJ going everywhere and wearing a beret. Also, Phil Jackson had the coolest like Indiana Jones hat ever. He was fucking cool.
Also, love that sound guy just going all out for that autograph.
Yes, and the armband after the game when he like basically ripped it off MJ's arm. He was like,
yeah,
give me that.
I didn't realize that was the same guy.
Yeah,
no, that was a player.
He was like, can I keep it? And then Jordan made him take the armband off his own arm. And then they go into the locker room. They got the trophy. He's like, I don't care what you do with that shit. Just don't give it to Jerry.
The other things I wrote down.
You don't celebrate an easy win in France.
They were so mean to Jerry Krause at any turn. Because he always it's like, Jerry Krause was that guy who's just like always kind of butting into conversations, it felt like. You know what I mean? He's always just kind of wandering around. And like you said, Maury from Goodfellas.
He's fucking Maury. And he's a combination of Maury and the guy in that infomercial that's carrying all those buckets out to his car and spills all of them over the hood of his car.
Yes.
Like that's Jerry Krause. And who knows? He might have been a sweetheart behind the scenes when maybe he was a good family man. I don't know. All I'm going off of is what I'm being shown in this documentary. And I can't get enough of how much I hate him.
Well, in classic Reinsdorf fashion, which ended up being a good move, but him being like, yeah, Jerry Krause was a White Sox scout for me, and then he's like, hey, I want to be the Bulls GM, and he's like, okay,
cool.
Like what?
And he was like, I asked everyone around, they're like, don't do business with him, and he's like, well, he was my guy, so I went with him.
The only other things I wrote down were obviously that people were freaking out about how they had President Obama and President Clinton on, and they both put former Chicago resident for Obama and former Arkansas governor for Clinton. Stick to sports to the max. I loved it.
Time.
I loved it.
Bulls fan.
Yeah.
Barack Obama.
Yeah, it was so good. That's how you know
fan.
him. Yes, you don't know him for anything else.
How about Patrick Ewing? They interviewed him about that Georgetown UNC championship game, and he's wearing the Georgetown shirt. I hope that they keep going back to Patrick Ewing and interviewing about different times that Jordan broke his heart, and each time he's wearing the polo shirt of a different team. Like he'll wear the Knicks shirt when it talks about Jordan just dominating in the playoffs, and back to a Georgetown shirt when he goes back to then. I don't know if this is going to get to later on in Jordan's career when he becomes a Wizard, and then after that when he
I don't think
owns
so.
the Charlotte Bobcats. I really hope that it does, because that'll tie a nice little bow on the end. I think that, so in the middle of it, he said the best way to get Michael Jordan to do something is to tell him that he can't do it. I think enough people finally told him, like, there's no chance that you can own the Charlotte Hornets and succeed as their owner. And he was like, we'll see about that. So he's still working on that one at the very end. But
the one thing from that first Patrick Ewing MJ game in the 82 finals, I wish they had shown the pass at the end, because I don't know what the points. I don't think you look like. I tried to look up a point spread from 1982. If someone has it, send it to me. But that was an all-time, like, we would have lost our minds, because if they didn't show the whole highlight, but MJ hits the shot, and then Fred Brown goes down and gets confused, and it basically just passes it directly to a North Carolina player, thinking that he's on his team, like almost like when you're playing pickup basketball and like the other team, the guy's like, oh, pass it here just to fuck with you. That's what it looked like in the fucking national championship game. And I wish they had shown that, because that was an all-time. If that had anything to do with the spread or anything, it would have. I just think about that. Like, I would have melted down forever.
Yeah, it looked like you were playing like with your buddies.
Yes.
And you didn't have jerseys or pennies on or anything
yes.
like that. And you're like, oh shit, I thought that you were on my. The guy was like the guy was being slow getting back on
right.
defense for sure.
Right. He's like, here, pass it to me. Yeah.
I also wish that they could just superimpose a 3-point line onto the court and all that old footage, just so that it looks kind of. It looks weird, man. It looks naked out there without a 3-point line.
Yeah, and then I guess the only other thing I had was that was a great story. The MJ when he's playing golf with Danny Ainge the day before the game, which is hilarious in its own right. And he says to him, like, hey, tell your boy DJ I got something for him tomorrow. Just like the nonstop shit talking that MJ does is just like, that's why he always kind of had the mental edge on everything. Like, he just never stopped. Like, whether you're playing golf on an off day, most people can relax. He's just not. He's like a psychopath, but in a good way, because it gets him everything he wanted, and he wins at all costs. Like, people say win at all costs, they don't really mean it. Michael Jordan meant it.
Right. I think that a problem is a lot of players after MJ decided to adopt the MJ attitude, but they don't have the internal makeup that MJ does. They're not as good, and so you end up just having a lot of assholes out there who can't back it up, and that's a problem. But like, if you're allowed to be as big a dickhead as you want, if you can back it up like MJ always did.
I think Kobe gets interviewed for this, and that's that's one of the biggest compliments you can say about Kobe's career, outside of obviously all the trophies he won and everything, but he was the closest thing to MJ after MJ in terms of that competitive mean streak, win at all costs, like, I will do anything it takes to do it. So it was an awesome first. I wish we had it every night. Like, I wish they just give it to us every night, because I just want it right now. Like, it was great to get it and then be like, fuck, we have to wait a whole week for more of this.
And then week 2 is just going to be 1 hour, right? They're going to play the second hour or whatever from this one. They're doing 2 hours again next week.
Yeah, it's 2 hours every single week.
Thank God.
For
Thank
5
God.
weeks.
Okay.
Not 20 hours like Adam Schefter reported. It's 10 hours long, and it's 2 hours every single Sunday.
Okay. All right. Thank God. So we got 2 hours next week to look forward to.
You got 5 Sundays. You know what? The only thing that kind of bums me out, though, is that this whole thing was supposed to be released every other night of the NBA Finals. And that would have been like sports nirvana to watch the finals. If LeBron's in the finals and trying to like watch history, and also watching history every other night. Did LeBron tweet anything, Hank?
Nope.
He did not. I set up alerts on my phone to see if LeBron was going to tweet. He is conspicuous. He's smashing the heart button on perfect booties. And
I would put $1 million on him with like a lengthy Instagram post tomorrow that brings it all back to himself.
Because LeBron wasn't. I don't think LeBron was interviewed in this.
Yeah, why would he have been?
Well, I mean, like, there was some of the guys, like, obviously some of the guys who came after MJ were interviewed in it. But yeah, he wasn't.
It's going to be LeBron wearing number 23 in high school and he'll caption it like, to the GOAT Michael Jordan, this is why I decided to strive for greatness wearing your number 23. And then it'll be a slide thing where you can look at 3 other pictures of LeBron wearing 23 and dunking on people.
Right. Oh, also Bob Costas, young Bob Costas is so fucking funny. It's great too.
Seeing all these guys, all these old guys back in the day when they were like just trailing around people who were much taller than them with their little stick mics.
And just the media, like them just doing conducting business in the media, like straight up just being like Michael Jordan's being like, yeah, like if you're doing this from a business, like that's fucked up.
Yeah, the Bob Costas, like that Bob Costas puts on like 3 hours of makeup every morning to try to look like 1984 Bob Costas. Mm-hmm. He's always chasing that.
The other great quote from MJ was when he found out that there was like a 10% chance of him re-breaking his foot, and the doctor said, well, if I gave you 10 pills and one of them would kill you, would you take one of the pills? And his answer was, well, it depends how fucking bad the headache is.
Yeah, that's the competitive.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's the for the love of the game, clause in his contract. That's where the Jerry Krause, like, you can point to every spot. They kind of did it, the Phil Jackson, Jerry Krause beef. Jerry Krause basically being like 82-0 and you're still not coming back. Pippen in his contract. And MJ and Krause, their beef started there. Like their beef started with Krause putting, restrictions on his minutes and basically saying don't be as competitive as you are and like don't go out and play basketball in North Carolina and play 5-on-5 when you're rehabbing. That's where that was like the kernel that, ended up fully blooming into this final season where everyone hated each other. Well, everyone hated Jerry Krause.
But Jerry Krause, he started trust the process, but he was just like, he didn't realize that he had a completed process in front of him the entire time.
Correct.